Blessing. Thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful community. I feel so very grateful to be with you in every single broadcast, in every one of these shows, 4D Trinity. And I thank you, all of the new subscribers. I thank you, all of the regulars. Thank you so very much. I really, really love and appreciate this community. This show, 4D Trinity, is where we take a look behind the veil. We allow ourselves to go deep into the strata of self as it pertains and connects us to the strata of the greater whole. And we find in those spaces and places, those areas where we can sync up, where we can master up, level up, and become one with our true identity, the spirit that we are, the truth in our hearts that we know ourselves to be, that we know is that which is our destiny, is that which drives us, is that which inspires us to be here, and to be not only just to be here, but to truly embody the now moment. And we do this by aligning the mind, the body, and the emotions with the perfection of spirit that we are, the perfection of spirit that you are. We do this through our meditations, through having these conversations, through understanding, gaining insight into what are all of these aspects within me that are seeking a voice, that are seeking my attention, that are seeking my presence now, that I may be here with myself fully, with spirit fully, with the part of my heart that is constantly talking to me, constantly whispering to me, constantly nudging me in one direction or another. This is huge. I wonder how you're doing. I would love for you to say hello in the comment box if you've hopped on. And perhaps if you're guided, how are you? How are you doing at this time? There is a great collective syncing up happening. There is a massive, another cog in the cycle of time and space that is spinning. And vortexes are opening up, vortexes within ourselves that allow us to see into the truth of ourselves, that allow us to see the truth in others, the truth in our situations, in our current life situations, in our work situations, in our friendships, our relationships, with the creations that we bring to earth, with the creations that we're guided to bring to earth and that maybe have not found a grounding rod yet in this world. But they are within us. All of these notions, all of these awarenesses are within us. And as always, our practice is to meditate, is to create the correct conditions within ourselves that we may be a clear antenna, a clear conduit and channel, that we may receive those divine downloads, that we may have an unshakable faith in those messages that we receive in those still, quiet moments. And now the question is, are we listening? Are we listening? Thank you so much for hopping on. Blessings. I'm going to have a look here. Are we listening? Right? Are we listening? Blank. Jamia Johnson. Hello. You know what? I might be answering questions. And in fact, I think that might be something we're going to do next week on our 50th live stream. I think that's something we're going to be doing. But for now, what I would like to talk about is this idea of sink or swim. And sinking, thinking about that word and how it pertains and connects us to this idea of synchronicity. And what is synchronicity? But it is being so present in the now moment. It is being so unattached to the past and to the future that you can relax wholly and completely, wholly, Holy, into the space-time that is the now moment, that is actually outside of space-time. In synchronicity time, in synchronicity land, we would say, that is where all of the potentials of self can be met, because we've moved out of the way, because we've taken, we've subtracted, we've minused out from the formula of our lives, the potentials of how past and present pains or hurts, projections, experiences can taint our present moment. And now granted, we're speaking specifically to those parts of past and future that are projected, that are held from a place of pain, from a place of fear, from a place of scarcity, from a place of perceiving fear in our lives, fear in our past. And now, granted, all of these fears and all of these pains, they can be very, very real, especially as we have yet to really deepen our healing practices with them. Yet this is time now, my friends, this dear and beloved community. It's time now for syncing up. If you're watching this, if you're guided to watch this even a few minutes or the whole show, then you are a part of this. You are a part of this collective. David Wilcock recently spoke about this universal reincarnation, this collective reincarnation. We are not here for no reason. We are not here to keep asking why, but we are here to surrender and to say, show me, right? Surrendering the self. And this has been such a huge, huge, massive, massive initiation for us to let go of who we think we are, which is so massive, to let go and let God, let love, let a higher power, let source energy, let the universe, really it is love. Let love show you more of who you are. And in understanding and knowing thyself, we come into a greater alignment of syncing up our mind, our body, and our emotions with the spirit, with the truth in our heart that always is, that is always calling, that is always in sync with the now moment, that is always in sync with love, with God, with your higher self. And so as we get to rest in that place and add more beads upon the string of self in way of relaxation, in way of cultivating, clearing our antennas, our divine receptive abilities as a conduit, as a channel on this planet, in this 3D world, we bridge heaven on earth. We bridge those parts of us that are true to us in spirit. And as we sync up and serve ourselves in love and in light, we can exponentially, and by way of just a natural side effect, if you will, be inspired and so inspire the environment around us. We remember my environment is alive and responds to my perception of it. So how are you seeing those that surround you now? How are you viewing? What are you projecting onto your situations and scenarios in life? It is really what you decide to see. It is truly what you bring to the table that creates the correct conditions for the invisible realm, the metaphysics of love, of sacred geometry to get to work when we can hold ourselves in the vibration of love to a greater and greater degree. And we step out of the way and we allow love to show us the way. And now this whole sinking or swimming, sinking is all that we've been discussing, is all of this syncing up with, first and foremost, the truth within ourselves. And again, that connecting with the collective. If we're all reincarnating here collectively, there's going to be people that you know from your past lives. There's going to be a quickening happening in many areas of your life. If you're watching this, I really feel this for us collectively, that as you meditate and as you cultivate those beads on your thread of stillness, of being able to listen as the full antenna, as the full crystalline tube of yourself, and attune and align with those divine messages from your higher self through nature, through a song on the radio, through what a stranger might say to you, what a friend might say to you. Listen, listen, listen. What is the world showing you? Is it reflecting back to you parts of you that you know are your truth, that you really need to hear, that you can really be served by, to align with, to let go to? Or are they drawing you into greater fear and love? And we know around here at 4D Trinity that love is the truth and fear is illusion. And so we are continually bringing ourselves back into a field of love, into the space of love, into the God channel, into the channel that connects us with Source, that connects us with the divine plan, if there is a divine plan. And I'll tell you what I'm realizing is, as we sync up, as I sync myself up, everything in my environment syncs up to match me. And as I sync up and everything in my environment syncs up to match me, people, places, and things, what happens is this 4D collective, this 4D realization, heaven on earth realization, our ability to be in the world and not of it, our ability to do the work that we are here to do, which really isn't work at all, which really is play, because it is always a part that is aligned and attuned to the truth of you. And as we allow ourselves to clear those channels and honor and listen to the divine messages that are guided, and then move forth and carry through and hold that space, what happens is there is a divine alignment. Synchronicities begin to occur with your friends, your family, your relations, your creations. The universe starts to lean in your favor. And the guidance is to honor those golden breadcrumbs as they awaken, those golden nuggets of love and light, of inspiration, of motivation, of divine anointing that we receive when we do create the correct conditions to be still, to be receptive, to hear, to intuit, to listen, and then with courage follow through, like the Fool in the tarot card, being one with what is all, God, Source, and allowing through that oneness to just drop into the 0 point, to just really surrender to love. Now, Sink or Swim speaks to this notion of, as we sync up our mind, our emotions, our bodies with spirit in one alignment of truth and love, we can release needing to get things done, because everything gets done by you being. By you being, you are doing. Everything does itself for you. Now, granted, yes, you'll get to show up in your certain ways. Yet as we continue surrendering, your divine higher self, divine source, pardon me, is going to show you, is going to tell you what to do and where to go and how to do it and when to do it. There's a phone call you know you want to make. Be on standby. Ask your higher self to make it clear when it's time. When is the most high divine aligned time to make that phone call, to send that email, to reach out to that individual, or to speak on a certain aspect or a subject with a dear beloved or a friend or whatever it might be, a boss. There's a divine synchronization that is ready to occur, you see. And we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen on the other side because it's not written yet, you see. We are writing it in this moment. We are writing every page, every line. Should I say it is being written through us, through our sheer surrender. The collective knowing of thyself divine is happening, is taking shape, is being defined. Each time you surrender more, each time I surrender more, each time we pray and affirm for greater grace, for maximal love, to show us the way into the now moment, to show us the way of peace, to channel through our words, our actions, our bodies, our eyes, our vision, our tongue, everything. And so, as we sync up these qualities within us, we are carried, we are lifted, and all of a sudden we experience these quantum timeline shifts, which can activate. All of a sudden you have yourself in one way of being, one way of seeing and of perceiving. And as you surrender and you let go and those divine alignments take place, well, all of that starts to disappear. Remember that movie Inception, right? Where they went into dream time and they changed timelines, and certain buildings and environments would begin to drop and disappear, allowing for a new background, a new subatomic playing field to happen. And that's what's happening within us and all around us. We've been DNA detoxing. We've been recalibrating. And you know, past lives is a big, big part of this, in recognizing one another, recognizing the work you're here to do with each other. And I'm telling you, I'm telling myself as well, don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt the insights that you get, those divine illuminations. There is a plan, and there isn't a plan. There's this divine sense of love is the plan, and love is what we get at the end of the plan. Yet it's how love comes to be collectively through the beginning of us learning to love ourselves, through us giving back to ourselves first. Then our fountain, our channel of love overflows, and it is great. It is with greater ease that we can see and perceive and know love as it surrounds us, as it communicates with us and communes through us and to us, through all beings, places, and spaces. So this is syncing up. Now, sink or swim. We can either swim, right? There are times where in the show, there's a certain level of communion that you've cultivated with your higher self, with divine source, with love, with God, whatever name you give that beautiful love force, the power of love, that higher power. And there's a certain knowing. We connect, right, to that divine knowing. And that divine knowing, again, as we honor it, as we can meet it, even in baby steps, begins to open more doors for us, begins to reveal for us what we are ready to align with, what we are ready to step into and vibrationally ourselves. Now, as we do not honor those key codes, right, of divine downloads that we are receiving in our meditations, as we do not honor them, and we look the other way. We look away from guidance. What happens is we get to swim. It's not that we're going against God's plan, but we're deciding on our own plan, and it's okay. It's okay to have your own plan and your own way to do it. As it aligns with the truth in your heart, you will sync up. As it is not, as it is incongruent with the divine plan of your heart, with the divine plan of love, there may be bumps, there may be greater hurdles, there may be tougher corners to turn around through. There may be inconsistencies, right, with flow in your life. And so you're either swimming, you're either choosing to do it your way, or you're sinking up and being carried by the grace of God, being carried by the grace of love. Because again, we, like there is a plan and there is no plan, and there is an end and there is no end, because it's all right now. And all we get to do is allow ourselves to create together, collectively, this outcome that is the now come of being present. And again, a lot of us are realizing in partnerships, in divine relationships, that there is so much more that is being called for. And I urge us all to stay attuned, to stay clear, to stay as pure as you can, so you can continue hearing, downloading, and receiving those divine messages, keeping the energies pure. Keep washing the lines of energy between yourself and your others, your family members, your friends, your family, your lovers, your relations of all kinds and levels. Keeping those communication lines clear. Keep washing them. Keep clearing them so that they are free of those projections that we might place there, that are bound in fear, that are bound in scarcity, that are bound in us trying to control the other or situations and outcomes. And again, there is that resting back. So as we sync up the mind, right? As we sync up the body and the emotions with the heart space, with the divine heart space, we are given supernatural power. We are given supernatural powers to meet situations and occurrences. As you know, I am in a situation now with a divine loved one who is nearing death. And myself and my mother have been caring for this family member for some time. And it has been very challenging, emotional, stressful for many different reasons. And there was a point in this last week where Mom said, I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. You know, it's so hard. It gets so very hard. Not only for all sorts of 3D reasons, but you're watching a divine loved one of yours die, prepare to pass over, and it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Yet there's such grace, right? When you know you are destined, when you know that that is a part of your path to be present and to hold space for that loved one. And I remember praying and meditating on it, and the guidance was to just tell her, you know, and encourage her to stick it out, to stay, and that we can do this together. We can turn this corner together. We can hold space together, that she can lean on me. And I prayed for grace. I prayed for that strength. I affirmed it for both of us, for our current situation. And like a miracle, overnight, there was a change. There was a shift. There is a strengthening. There is an ability now, right, with her, that at one point became fractured, and where there were questions and a complete, like the Tower card, right? Just a complete death of a certain cycle of this initiation of caring for a loved one that is near their own death. And what did it call for? It called for, right, that was swimming. That was trying to think like, I have to do all this by myself. And so there's this treading water. And even if you're a great swimmer, right, it takes a lot of energy to swim. It takes a lot of energy to keep swimming and keep swimming and keep swimming. When again, when we sync up, when we really deep dive into the heart, and where the heart says, stay the path, see it through. And when we surrender, when we turn to that light and we surrender and we say, okay, show me how. I receive your blessing, your strength, God, love, all the divine blessed powers that be, my angels, all the guides that are ready to be here now with me, that serve the highest good, that only have love and light for myself and my family in this current situation. We welcome you. Help us, show us. What happens is then we are lifted. We sync up naturally, and then we are carried. And so the seeming burden of what may have been at a certain point for mom was metaphysically, alchemically shifted into grace, into strength, into the ability to just be here now and to not have to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow or the next week, to just relax as best as we can into being present with what the current circumstances are. And that is your superpower. That is our superpower together. You see, and as each of us in our own divine situations and occurrences and relations and with family and with work and with creations and lovers and all this sort of thing, as we just really relax into what your heart is telling you and step by step just allow the energy to do the work for you and get out of the way. That's when those miracles begin to happen. That's when we start to unplug, right? From the grid matrix. That's when we start to unplug from all the ways that we've been taught to think that life needs to happen in order for everything to work out okay. We begin to release the notions of the past, of how we think other people have died, of how we think other marriages have gone, of how we think other businesses or businesses that we've started in the past, right, are going to go. Because of what happened in the past, that means, this is going to happen again in the now, but that's not true. That's not true. We're reaching beyond the past. We're plugging ourselves into so deeply this now moment that the future dissolves, the past dissolves. I had to really let go. I had to really let go of my projections of mom having weakness in this situation, of mom not being able to handle it. I had to perceive her and know her in her strength, as much as praying to God to help the whole situation. I got to help hold space in that way for me, for her, and for my family member. And so when we're asked, when we're divinely guided by the power of love, by the power of God, to show up and to create the correct conditions for miracles, even if you don't even realize that that's what you're being guided to do, that's always what we're being guided to do. Miracles happen constantly. When we're in sync, when we're in flow, they happen constantly. So again, think about the situations in your life. Where can you now allow a divine syncing up to happen? A divine surrender to that which is true in your heart. Right? And where are you treading water? Where are you swimming? Where is it tough? Where does it feel like a burden? Where does it feel like you're having to swim upstream against crashing waves? That's your sign. That's your sign, right? Of where you can start to sync up more, of where you can allow synchronicity to be embodied through you and to you and for the greater whole. As I heal, as I sync up, it creates a divine alignment. My piece of the puzzle calibrates. And as my piece of the puzzle calibrates, and I'm in your presence and we are in each other's presence, well, what happens is we affect each other like a tuning fork. My vibration affects your vibration to the degree, right, that you are willing and open to have your vibration affected, and always in the name of love and light. But if there's situations and people and places that things are changing, things are changing. And that's why this call for this really aware syncing up is present right now. Because the vortex is open. We are being invited to jump through. We are being invited to see ourselves through from this point of entry on this quantum timeline into those divine timelines of 4D, of fourth dimensional consciousness, of heaven on earth realization, of namaste consciousness, where we see one another. We see one another. We see the light in one another. We see beyond our pains, our hurts, our prejudices, our judgments, where there is love and only love available to us and through us. And this is a state of grace. And it is in this state of grace that miracles happen. When we let go, miracles are allowed to happen. When we let go, miracles are allowed to happen. We don't make miracles. We don't make miracles. We don't perform miracles. We allow. We allow and we create the correct conditions within ourselves that miracles become a natural part, a natural extension of our everyday experience, a natural extension and part of us syncing up. So what's going on at home, in your home life? Where is there swim? What is your heart telling you? How can you best or better sync up with your heart? What is your heart telling you? And you know, sometimes your heart will tell you things and you're going, are you serious? And I think that's what we're coming into now, is this very, very profound level of realization. You see, all of this work, all of our meditations, all of this clearing and healing we've been doing for so long, really consciously, is bridging us and bringing us into this new level of awareness, whereby there's this picture or this thought where you can imagine we're in a building, right? And our ability to perceive and greater levels of awareness depends on what floor we're looking out the window, what our view is. And maybe at the first level one, we see a certain plane, and we go up to the second floor and we see a little bit more, the third, the fourth, the fifth. Next thing we're at the penthouse and we can see 360 view. We get the whole picture, or at least we begin to get more and more. And it can be challenging and frightening, and where you're going, are you serious? Like, the universe has been showing and revealing to many of us situations and circumstances and connections that are very, very profound, that are not what you had ever imagined could be. And now the value here and the initiation here is to remain in the now, is to remain in a place of not clouding the situation, the person, the experience, the creation, with our own wishes and wants of how we think it needs to happen, or what our fantasies are for things to come to pass, how we think it needs to be. Again, it's stepping out of the way. It's creating the correct conditions and allowing love to guide all, allowing love to guide all. And again, it's not that you don't do anything. It's not that you don't live. As you sync up and align with your heart, you cannot help but live, you see. You cannot help but live your greatest life. Yet there is that divine balance. And yes, there is intention. Yes, there is intuition. Yes, there is a knowing as you uncover and get deeper and deeper into the truth of your desire. Remember last week's 4DT, it was all about desire, destiny, purifying that intention and using your free will accordingly in alignment with love, in alignment with truth, to courageously and boldly allow yourself. You're not even moving forward, but you're just, by surrendering, you're being lifted, and again being moved, so to speak, from one quantum timeline, from one dimension into another dimension, where there's a whole new adventure story, a whole new adventure book waiting for you there. There's a whole new part of you waiting for you there, that maybe your whole life you've grown up in a certain way and it's very difficult to imagine. Yet at the same time, it's not, because you know there's a resonance in your heart. It's not difficult to imagine because you've seen it. You feel it because you know there's a morsel of truth there. Now, past life connections are very, very powerful now. Think about all of those people around you, especially those very, very close to you. And you know, months ago, we did a 4D Trinity on past life portals. And it's very, very deep, this syncing up or this swimming, because as we sync up, we are put in divine concert, in divine harmony with our sacred others, with our companions of destiny. That's the God phone. Hello. Yes, God. Oh, blessings. Good morning. Sink or swim. Yep. Yes, I was inspired by this Esoteric Life podcast. They recently did a show with that title. Yes, it's true. I'm inspired by them. Sink or swim. Yeah, God's like, I like that. I know, me too. When I heard it, I was like, we have to use that. Yes, I would love to read some Course in Miracles. Okay, God says hello and namaste, everyone. And God says, trust is the truth. The truth is to trust. Thank you so much. Blessings. Okay, namaste. Trust is the truth. Truth is to trust. So yes, past life portals, I know for many of us, well, I don't know for many of us, but some of you have shared with me that you have not gone through those portals, right? There is a certain corner that we turn when we do awaken to past life connections. Personally, for me, as long as I've been a youth, I've just had the aptitude. I recognize other people. I recognize places through feeling realization, through that harmonic alignment with others. There's a knowing. There's a sense of I've known you before here. We've done work before, or we've been lovers before, or you've been my father, my mother, or I've been your mother, your father, or whatever it might be. There's a divine harmonic, you see. And as we play our parts in this world, if you desire to, if you feel it's a part of your truth, to bridge heaven on earth, to bridge love in this lifetime. That's all it's about. You don't have to go and build anything unless you're divinely guided, and you will be given all of the money. You will be given all of the building materials. You will be given the place, the space, the people, the support. And this is the message here, is to sync up and all will be revealed. All will be given to you. Yet it's that trust. It's with courage that we allow ourselves to say, okay, I surrender. And with regard to past life portals, once you do enter them, because you could say, wow, I really have a resonance with this person in my life. And that's as far as it can go. And just knowing that and being in joy in that. And that's beautiful. If you are guided to go into past life connections, though, with people, places, and things, and meditate in that space, or just write in your journal and ask to be shown for the highest good what your connections are with regard to past lives, well, then you open up that portal. And once you open up that portal, more is revealed, and different adventure stories of how and who you've connected with and why begin to reveal themselves for our highest good. And those allow, if you're guided there, those allow a comfort in this now moment, because again, things that we will be asked to do, situations, relationships that will be guided, circumstances that will be guided, that are being guided now, are not a part of how you think your norm is. They are going to invite you to do things that you know are within your capability, but that might not be how you thought these next few months were going to go, that might not be how you thought that relationship is or was going to go. And it's all for the highest good, but it's inviting us to relax there with a little willingness, with our hearts, and to say, okay, one baby step at a time, and allow ourselves to be shown, to be shown, to be shown. So again, it seems there is work to be done here. And really, it's not work. It's relaxing, it's playing, and it's saying, okay, let me step out of the way. Let me allow my mind to be in sync with the truth in my heart. Let me allow, then, from this place of my mind syncing up with my heart, that my emotions are just naturally then in alignment, in groove. They are synced up. And as these qualities of myself are synced up with the truth in my heart, I am held, I am carried, and I am shown through past life portals what my part in this myth is. Now, you don't have to live the myth. You don't have to live that part of your adventure. You can go as far down that adventure story as you walk. You can turn around. You can take a right. You can take a left. You can press pause. You can press eject and burn the tape. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Yet if it is a part of your truth, if they are a part of your truth, if those gifts, those visions that you know, your desires, your pure, clear desires that lead you to fate in your life are your truth, the invitation, the message of this show today is to allow, is to allow, is to allow. It's not going to look like what you thought. It's going to be something completely different than how you imagined. But it only is allowed to do that when we get out of the way. We have our notions of how we think and what we think and why, based on how we've been born into this life, into this body, into our sexuality, into our gifts and creations, and we can get stuck. And it's our identity, and our identity is changing. As we surrender and we step out of the way, there is less you there, here. The only part of you that is left here is the now you. And all the past you and the future yous, they simply dissolve. And there is more love, more light, more God channeling through you. And so we allow that power, that light, that sovereign anchoring that connects heaven and earth to show us the way. And it does take courage. It feels that we are coming into a time where those things that we thought we even knew about ourselves are being not challenged, but we're being invited to change those definitions. We're being invited to change those definitions. So let's read now. The God Phone is inviting us to read from A Course in Miracles. If you have just hopped on, go ahead and say hello in the comment box. I'm so grateful. And I'm very grateful for your comment. I'm sorry, let me put my glasses here for a moment. Jemiah, yeah, thank you, about answering questions, because I've been guided where that's been bubbling up on the radar to do a show that is just about answering questions. And we're coming up to our 50th 4D Trinity next week, and I feel that that would be a nice one to have for that show. So stay tuned. We'll see about that. This is A Course in Miracles. I've been a student for several years now, and it's said to be the channelings of Jesus. Now, there is a divinely guided page that God is guiding us to read. It is in the text at the beginning of this book. There is text. The middle of the book, we have lessons, 365 lessons that can guide you through your year with prayers and meditations. And then the last part of the book is a manual for teachers. And today we're going to read from The Answer to Prayer, and it's page 164, paragraph 4. If you would know your prayers are answered, never doubt a child of God. If you would know your prayers are answered, never doubt a child of God. Now, what does this mean? This means, again, relaxing into what you know is the truth of you, yet at the same time, letting go of having all the little aspects figured out and really collapsing it all into the now moment, into that divine trust, into that divine alchemy where faith bridges miracles. Do not question him, your brother or your sister, and do not confound your brother or your sister. For your faith in them is your faith in yourself. So this is also the metaphysics of trust. This is the metaphysics of having faith in where you are right now and not questioning anything, any decisions or choices that you've made up until this point. There is a divine alignment that you have set up yourself, that you have configured. You've placed yourself here. And it's not without a reason. Even if your circumstances seem less than what you would prefer them to be, there's a divine ordination. There's a divine alignment and happenstance that is allowed to come to pass when we accept, when we surrender to what is. And when we do that, when we trust ourselves, we trust our path, we have faith in God, we have faith in a higher power, we extend faith and trust to our brothers and sisters, to the strangers, to the family, to the friends, to all of our relations, our lovers, our husbands, our wives, our children that surround us. Well, what happens is that all of our environment is given a maximal power, that maximal metaphysical power, whereby love can channel through all things and beings, and for the highest good, create further correct conditions to support you in sustaining heaven on earth realization, in sustaining your ability to have courage to stay in the now, right? I want to say, a part of me wants to say to have courage to move forward, but really that moving forward is just relaxing and being here now. Tammy, blessings to you. Thank you so much. I received your offering. I kept meaning to send you an email. Thank you so much. I received your blessed offering, and I've actually did get a chance to use it a little bit. And so thank you so much. It is so beautiful. I'm so grateful for the community here. I am on Instagram. I believe all of my links are down in the show more box. And Tammy's a dear relation from Instagram, and we've cultivated this wonderful relationship, and it's just so lovely. So thank you so much, Tammy. I'm really so very grateful. And thank you to everyone here at this community. So we're going to keep going here. Just lost page and I found it again. Okay. So what the guidance here is if you know your prayers are answered, if you have no doubt, right? And that's what this is about. When you have no doubt. Thank you, Tammy. When you have no doubt in the purity of the desires, in the purity of the intentions that you know are from your heart, that you know are true to you, then you do not question those people, those actors in the play that come along or that are already built in to the performance on your stage. You have faith because you trust the path. You know that they are there for a reason, and you begin to relax into what the divine anointing of that relationship is, what the divine level of communion is that we should honor and pay forth and hold space in a sacred way for the highest good to come to be. Because your faith in the other is reflective of your faith in yourself. If you would know God and God's answer, believe in me, this is Jesus saying, believe in me, whose faith in you cannot be shaken. So, right, when you stand firm in your faith, when you stand in that power and authority, and you know what, I had a download the other night. Often I will say to stand in your full power and authority. And you know, if you watch my tarot readings as well, sometimes that's a line that comes through often. Standing in your full power and authority, being able to channel your truth, to stand in your truth of your heart and to speak it and to embody it. And that takes some mustering sometimes, right? Depending on what cycle we're in our life, that really takes a lot of courage to stand in your full power and authority. And this download I received the other night told me that really, that's one level. That's the initiation, the initiatory level of standing in your full power and authority. And the next part of that initiation then is once we get that grounding, once we get those wheels turning and get good at being able to do that for ourselves, to stand in our full power and authority, to express our truth, to meet our truth, to bridge it in this world, what happens is the next level is then stepping to the side in that truth and allowing that divine force, allowing God, allowing love to be the power and authority that channels through us. And I thought, wow, okay, now that's the next level, right, of standing in your full power and authority. So that's what this is saying. Your faith cannot be shaken when you're in that space. Can you ask of the Holy Spirit truly and doubt your brother or your sister, right? When you have a sincere prayer, when you have a sincere quest, a sincere activation of seeking a divine answer, right? Seek and ask and you shall receive. Yet it's the letting go of how we think we're supposed to receive. It's letting go of how the answer is supposed to come. It's cutting the cord from the balloon and letting that question go up to the Most High through the Holy Spirit, back to source, back to love, back to God, and allowing the shower of divine wisdom to come as it will and when it will, in ways that serve your highest good and the highest good of all. Right? And so when we pray, when we ask for help, when we affirm greater grace, when we affirm, right, greater love in our lives, what these teachings are saying is there's what is required when we really do that. Actually, what happens is that there is a complete relinquishing of fear, and we are allowed to stand in that full power of faith, the full power of God's power. Believe his words are true because of the truth that is in him. So can you ask of the Holy Spirit and doubt your brother, or your sister? So when we say those prayers, when we affirm the Most High, and then we go out into the world and we see people at the coffee store or at the grocery store or at the bank or at work, we get to stand in that full power and hold that resonance, right? That is a part of the initiation, is being able to then not only just say those prayers and ask for greater grace in the sanctity of your meditation cushion, but to be able to remember that throughout the day. I teach yoga, and often at the beginning of a class, the teacher in many classes I've been in and how I teach often will be invited to attune to a sense of an intention for that practice. Where do I intend the value of my awareness to be placed for this duration of the class? Or what frequency, what vibration, what value do I seek to embody here and now and carry with me from this class on? And for some, it's being conscious to move in their body with awareness, or to be mindful if there's an injury, maybe to cultivate a greater breath, greater peace, happiness, detachment, whatever it might be for you. Yet, there's this also for the 60-minute or the 90-minute class. It's one thing to say that prayer and to have that clear affirmation at the beginning of your practice. And often I'll pop back in and I'll say, okay, let's just come back to that intention, to that awareness that was created at the beginning of class. And so like that, what these teachings are saying is taking your prayers, not just from the temple, not just from the church, not just from the synagogue, not just from your meditation cushion, but knowing that it is so, knowing without fate, without doubt. When you put your trust in the power of love, there is no doubt. Extraordinary faith is activated. And so miracles are allowed to bridge heaven on earth in your presence. You will unite with the truth in your brother, with the truth in your sister, and their words will be true. As you hear them, you will hear me. So that's what Jesus is saying, is it's like, as you really purify, and as you really ask, especially in these situations, like we're saying, sink or swim, when you're being met with these situations in relations with your creations at work, with your lovers or your non-lovers or whatever it might be, to bridge gaps, to place love there, to trust. You don't know what's going to happen. Like the fool, again, you're stepping out with courage, but we don't know. We don't know what the next step is. We don't know where we're going to be taken next. And that's a part of it, though, is that the book of the future, the book of self, the book of the collective self that we are as 4D Trinity grid runners here, where we are building and bridging and defining collectively in this community together what this means, being in love with love. It's so profound. And you know, if you've experienced Kundalini activation, if you've experienced the grace of sitting with someone as they're dying, if you've experienced, beauty in nature, with animals, with your cat even, there is this this sheer divine surrender that is sync, that is in sync, that is synchronicity, that is collapsing all time and space, that you are fully present in the now moment. And again, when we pray, when we ask, when we affirm, the way is made for that divine sacred order to be revealed, to be anointed through you, to you, and in your life. The Thunder Egg. Hi, Tuesday. Oh, blessings, Anne from England. I think we did a tarot reading together. If you are who I think you are, blessings. Thank you for being here, Anne. So we're reading through some of A Course in Miracles. So what God and what Jesus is saying here is, as you pray and as you ask for the divine to be revealed to you in your life so that you can sync up with your truth in your heart, with the truth that you desire that is clear and pure in your heart, as you ask for that to happen, what's going to happen is through those brothers and sisters in your life, through your friends, your lovers, the radio songs, the TV commercials, whatever it might be, messages will come forth to match you, to match this quest of your surrendering to greater love and to greater light. As you hear your brother, your sister, you will hear me, is what Christ is saying in this book. So that but first you create the correct conditions within yourself. Within yourself. You take care of yourself. You calm, you relax, you create peace within yourself. And then you ask, you connect with Source, with God, whatever name you give, the power of love. And when you stand firm in that, right, when you really get out of the way and allow it and listen and pay attention through your day, love, greater love is revealed to you through all of your environment around you. Listening to truth is the only way you can hear it now. Listening to truth is the only way you can hear it now and finally know it. Listening to truth, which is the truth in your heart, is the only way you can hear it now, which I love that it says it's the only way you can hear it now and finally know it. If you've just jumped on, you might want to go back and listen to the beginning of this, because we're really talking about this syncing up with the truth in our heart. And when we do this, when we allow our mind, our emotions, our body to be in alignment with the truth that is the true us, the true pattern of divine alignment that is seeking to be lit. The hologram, the holy hologram of yourself is waiting. It is here. It is actually already ignited. And we are being invited to continue creating the correct conditions so that those little set points and divine connections, both as they map within the synapses of our brain and how that connects and rewires our nervous system, how that matches the way that we're plugged into the grid, and how it matches the way we plug into the universe, and so create the correct conditions to not only be harmoniously plugged in with the grid and be in the world, be in the 3D, be in this body, be in this sensual experience whereby this whole world is cultivated through our sensing, our knowing, through our smelling, our tongue, our eyes, what we see, what we touch, what we taste. This is how we've been taught the world is. Yet we know here at the show that there is so much more, and we are bridging that so much more. We are bridging that love. We are bridging spirit. We are bridging heaven on earth through that full and complete trust in the truth, creating the correct conditions through our meditations to sync up, again, mind, body, and emotions with spirit, so that as we are on standby for those divine downloads, for those nudges from our higher self, when we hear that song on the radio or get that message over and over again, we're like, okay, I get to honor this. I get to do something about this. I get to pay attention and listen. And didn't we talk about that at the very beginning of the show? The ability to listen. Listening to truth is the only way you can hear it now and finally know it. And I love how the word now is contained in the word know. So listening to the truth, again, that's the truth in your heart, is the only way you can have it. Is the only way you can know it now. When we're not listening to the truth, when we are distracted and trying to figure out everything and control it and do it our way, right? Then we're being in the world. And it's again, that's swimming. That's the sink or swim. That's the swim. That's you doing it your way. And I know there's this interesting balance of like, well, if I completely let go and give my life to love, give my life to God or the higher power, then what about me? You know, what about my ego needs? What about all of the dreams that I have in my heart? Well, you see, that's the part of the puzzle that we get to turn that corner. We get to find ourselves who we are. Yes, in the truth. What is true to you is yours, and it can never be taken away. The things that we think we want in our mind, that we've trying to figure out, that we've tried to cultivate and create from here, right? If they are not reflected in the truth in your heart here, right? Those are the things we're going to bump into. Those are the areas where we will experience resistance and probably challenges as we DNA detox, as we come into a greater resonance with the truth that we are. There's not going to be any more holding back. You're going to keep bumping into the same issues with your digestion. You're going to keep bumping into the same issues with your health, in your home, with your bills, with your work, with your relationships, etc. if you're not listening to your truth, right? And that's what this teaching is saying, is like listening to that, listening, really listening, honoring it, paying attention, not just knowing it, having a sense of it, and then ignoring it, but like that intention you create at the beginning of yoga class, knowing it over and over and over, sowing that seed over and over and over again. That's self-mastery. That's you stepping into being a master of your time and space. That's you stepping into a divine ordination of really knowing that you are a holy being and that you are here to do holy work. And it doesn't mean you can't have fun. It doesn't mean you can't do whatever you love to do. Yet there is a refining, right? They say like the diamond in the rough, there is a refining. And sometimes there's some rough edges we get rubbed against. Little siren in the background, just syncing up with our own synchronicity. Yet, you know, if you've ever been through any hard time and you've done your best to just surrender and get through it, that you actually are carried, and that once you get around that corner, once you metamorphosized and allowed the caterpillar, right, to turn into the larva, to have that cocoon and then to be reborn, that it is a whole new world, and we're being invited to that. So let's go on. Paragraph 5, the message your brother or sister gives you is up to you. So now we're getting into this deeper level of metaphysics. The message your brother or sister gives you is up to you. What does he or she say to you? What would you have him say to you? So again, it's talking about this aspect where what you perceive is what you receive, right? We say around here, part of our shamanic training here is my environment is alive and responds to my perception of it. So if you place fear there, that's what you're going to be given, something to be afraid of. If you place love there, you will be given more in way to see, to feel, to sense those areas of where love is. I gave an example many months ago. We were talking about these ideas where I was in a parking lot late at night, had to get my car. There was no one else there. It was a dark parking lot. There was some guy that came out of the blue who was fiddling around at a car over there, and my mind instantly wanted to go into fear, into perceiving that there was something for me to be fearful of with this person, into perceiving I had to protect myself. I had to do something and get out of there and get anxious and all this stuff. And then I remembered my environment is alive in response to my perception of it. I choose to see love, to be love, to place love. And the moment I did that, the moment that was the moment that man turned into a miracle man for me. It was the moment that I got to drop all of my past and my issues with men that I've ever had those kinds of weird situations with, that felt threatening or that felt unsafe, right? All of that stuff travels with us. And this is just in a bubble of light example for you, and how we do this all over our life and in every situation, in every occurrence. And in that moment, I chose my reality. And I was like, no, I'm not going to project all this stuff onto this innocent person that I don't even know who they are. I was triggered by my fear and anxiety at first, but then the master stepped in and said, here, place love here, see love here, allow love to create the metaphysical turning point, that metaphysical shift in the invisible realm whereby you relax your sight, you relax your perception, you relax what you are projecting. And in that way, love is allowed to channel through the other individual, the environment, the situation, and your own perception. And all that happened is that I was in that moment with my little willingness. I forgot all of the pain of the past, of the fear, of all those issues and notions and memory in me that could have brought that past with me to that moment. And the man was completely benign, and I got into my car and drove home, and there was no drama. And life is like that, though. We carry our past everywhere, and as we sync up, the past is saying, we get to let go of the past. We get to really trust our path. We get to really trust the synchronization. Or we swim, or I get lost in swimming and treading water and thinking, oh my God, there's a weird guy. And I'm saying weird, right? There's just a guy over there, and all this stuff that happened to me in my past or that I've seen in movies or on the TV. I'm going to be really afraid, and I'm going to project all this stuff. And so now I'm going to fumble, and I'm going to drop my keys, and it's going to make him give more attention to me. And then I'm going to get more freaked out. And it's going to cause this whole thing. And then I'm going to keep, and it's like, that's where we can go. And I'm swimming rather than sinking up. Rather than sinking up. The message your brother or sister gives you is up to you. What does he say to you? So in that moment, I was deciding that this brother was saying, feel threatened, Tuesday. And in that split-second moment where I had the little willingness to change it, to place love there, all of a sudden the message I was getting from that brother changed too. That's the metaphysics of miracles. It begins within you. What would you have your brother or sister say to you, right? What are you projecting? Your decision about them determines the message you receive. Your decision about anything determines the message you receive. And again, we say this often. Now, Marianne Williamson, she's a wonderful speaker and amazing author. And she does talks on A Course in Miracles every week. There's a live stream, and you can go to her website, marianne.com, if you're interested. And she's been doing this for 30 years. She really knows her stuff about it, so I encourage you to go forth. And why am I even talking about her? Oh, yes, because she has this beautiful meditation that she will often invite us to do. And I love repeating it and sharing it here, which is in the morning, right? Whether you meditate or not, this is just a little visualization where you can imagine opening up yourself to source, to love, to God, light, whatever name you give it, and allow it. Imagine it just filling you up. And then once you're filled up, sending forth love, blasting love, as she says, blast it forward through time and space to all of the people, the places, the situations. If you go to school, if you go to college, if you have a work, if you're just working at home creatively in your office or in sewing in the living room, send love and light, right? Blast love and light ahead of you to all those people and places where you know you'll be meeting others, where you know those environments where you will be sharing with others, right? In whichever way it is. And we even get to, she often says then, and even extend some love and light to the people and the places that you have no idea that you might be bumping into, that you have no idea what the divine is aligning for you. And sometimes it might be a flat tire. And sometimes it might be like even, you know, I don't know, winning $2 on a scratch card, whatever it might be. Yet it's sending love and light ahead of ourselves. And in this way, we will always be met with love and light because we have placed it there ahead of ourselves. First, it's up to us, right? Everything begins with you. Love that. Sync up. Yes, yes, sync up. Sink or swim, right? So again, we sync up and we are then carried and held because we let go when we sync up with the truth in our heart, when we have the courage to speak on behalf of it, when we have the courage to allow ourselves to go beyond the veils and see past whatever it might look like due to our own projections and really see just love and only love. We are placed in a divine synchronization. We are divinely anointed. And then we step out of the way. We unlatch the past and the present frequencies, all of those memories from being clouding your now moment so that you are free in that moment. You are sovereign in that moment. You are one with God. And again, your power is not your power. It is God's power. It is love's power. And when we sync up like that, then we are lifted. You levitate. Have you ever levitated? I know I've had conversations recently with friends where when we were doing our DNA detox and disappearing and all that Kundalini over these last several months since those eclipses in September, there was a time where I was standing at the front door and the door seemed so unreal to me. There was just this few moments and I felt so like the space between the atoms that make up this physical body was becoming greater and greater. I had a feeling realization that I could place my hand through the wall. And the feeling realization was so real. And what came from that is that nothing is real. Only love. So anyway, going off on a little tangent there, but it's very real. So we either sync up with the truth in our heart, with love, and be carried, or we swim. We do it our way. And we are then, treading water, aligned with our past notions and judgments and fears and biases and prejudices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a divine balance. It's different for all of us where we're at, and so just be gentle on yourself. Let's read the last few of these lines. Your decision about your brother or sister determines the message you receive from them. Remember that the Holy Spirit is in them, and the Holy Spirit's voice speaks to you through them. What can so holy a brother or sister tell you except truth? But are you listening to it? Your brother or sister might not know who they are, but there is a light in their mind that does know. This light can shine into yours, giving truth to their words and making you able to hear them. Their words are the Holy Spirit's answer to you. Is your faith in your brother and sister strong enough to let you hear? Again, there's that divine surrender, that absolute divine surrender. Let go and sink to sink. I love that. Yes, Tammy, totally. So, my friends, I thank you and I love this beautiful, beautiful, blessed community. I'm so very grateful. I pray and I affirm that the messages here this morning resonate with you, give you some inspiration. Again, if you just hopped on at the end and if you have time, maybe go back and just even put this on in the background, listen to it, gather up the messages. It's so very powerful of a time for all of us in this collective reincarnation, this collective unification. We're bridging unknown territory. What we do know is that it is love, that it is rooted in love, and that love is the truth. And we allow love to lead the way. And that is how we sync up. That is how we are carried. That is how the Most High Divine is allowed to create synchronicity in our life, in our circumstances, in our finances, in our health, in our healing, in our relations, and our friendships, with our lovers, with our family, friends, every single part of our lives is touched by this. And so that divine surrender, that softness, and it's that divine balance of masculine and feminine within each of us, the yin and the yang within each of us, right? Because on one hand, yes, that divine surrender, that divine feminine that is the I know nothing part of us, right? And then the divine masculine is simply on standby, ready to move, ready to take action as it is divinely ordained and clearly guided and aligned. And even if it's baby steps, but we are called this week not to fear and to move out of doubt, to move out of projecting those same old programs, to move out of even who we think we know we are, because there is an even bigger picture that's being unveiled. And you know it is. It's being unveiled in your heart right now. It's being unveiled little by little. Your piece of the puzzle is seeking to be synced up with love, with light, with God, with Source. And again, as you sync up, others sync up. As you sync up, miracles begin to happen. Everything is taken care of for you. You don't have to control anything. You don't have to figure anything out. Connect to higher self. Meditate, meditate, meditate. Allow the energies, as Adamus says, allow the energies to work for you. We spend so much energy trying to do, to figure out, to control, to have things the way we think we need them to be. Yet again, when the desire, that pure, clear desire that links us to our fate, which links us to the story, the adventure, the myth of why we've reincarnated here again in this life, to connect with past lives, others, relations, to connect with collective, to simply bridge heaven on earth, to remember, love together, not just individually, but collectively, right? And that's what we get to do. We get to be held. We get to be held. Sink or swim. Do it your way, or allow love to take care of everything and to do it all for you. All you have to do is be. All you get to do is continue creating the correct conditions of peace within yourself. And a big part of that is listening. Listening to your heart. Keep tuning. You know, there's deeper and deeper messages. And as you tune in and a petal starts to open, you see a message, you hear a message, you listen, you feel, you intuit the message, and there's messages within the messages. And you can go down those rabbit holes as deep as you're ready to go at any given day, at any given time. There's codes, there's messages within you. Your DNA is unraveling, and it's asking you to step into more of yourself. And it's nothing that you're not capable of. It's nothing to fear. It's nothing to doubt. It is simply the whole truth of you in love and in light. And so it is. Blessings, Will. Thank you for joining. So we're going to finish up here today. And again, I thank you so much. I believe that's what we'll do next week for our 50th show, our 50th 4D Trinity. I'm going to invite you to ask questions. If you feel that you are not able to sign on and be a part of the actual live stream, my email is down below. You can send me a question through my email. And I'm going to veer more towards, we can do, it just depends on the questions, right? Maybe some personal, maybe some more collective, metaphysical, spiritual healing. You just write in, send in, or prepare whatever you feel you maybe has been coming up for you. And we can do some intuitive channeling, okay, with the group, with individuals. So thank you everyone so much. I'm so very grateful. I love and appreciate and have so much reverence for this community. If you enjoy these live streams, give me the thumbs up. If it's your first time hopping on and you like what you're hearing, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much. All of my links are down below in the Show More box. You can sign up at my website, Tuesday May Thomas, and receive my monthly love letter. I send out a blog and different information about my books and teachings. I also have books you can check out. All of the links are down in the Show More box. Thank you so very much, everyone. I'm so very grateful again for this beautiful community. Namaste, with so much love and so much light. Namaste.